Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
What's good?
What up?
So, for everybody watching right now, which we just started, so probably nobody yet, but this is our second podcast of the Marauders. What do you think of that?
Hey,
Episode
we still there.
We managed to come up with some topics, which is awesome.
Well,
So I know.
we haven't finished it
Hey,
yet.
somebody's.
so
Yeah, I'm hearing some feedback from somebody.
It's not me.
So
It was me.
it was you.
Yeah, I was trying to share the podcast on my site, and I didn't know my volume was on.
Okay, so while we're on that, everybody that's watching right now, be sure to like this, share it, comment with us. We're just hanging out. We're talking together, talking about Star Wars and everything that we at least know ourselves. If you know something we don't know, toss it in the comments. We'll talk about it, or even just talk with us, hang out. That's all we're doing. So, first of all, let's start with introductions. So we'll just go ahead and go to the top. Start next to me. Come on.
What's going on? My name is Ace Kennedy, and I'm ready to get this thing popping.
My name's Shane, and looking forward to another great week.
Down below me.
My internet is bad. My name is Justin Robbins.
I am Joey Wallace.
And just so you guys know, this is obviously our second time to do this. We also do an RPG Star Wars game together off to the side. Eventually, we may get to where we show some of that. We'll see if you can. I don't know if the internet can handle that or not. But
I did have somebody ask me when we were doing that live. They wanted to watch that, and I was like, okay.
I don't know if we can edit ourselves as much as we can with the podcast.
I mean, I'll be allowed on that stream.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're all great friends. And by the way, I'm excited to actually get past all this crap that we got going on so I can hug you guys, give you high fives, and maybe do this live in a room together for once.
Yeah.
Finally. That would be nice. So I miss you guys. So our first thing, we want to talk about a little bit about what we did last week. Just kind of hit some topics. I know we talked a little bit about Ahsoka. You guys want to talk anything about that right now?
Absolutely.
So, let's go with. Here, let me pull my notes up. Sorry about that.
You're fine, bro.
So we had the live action. Do you remember what was her name? I don't have that with me.
Her name was
Dawson.
oh my gosh,
Rosario.
Dawson.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
And we talked about she was on Daredevil. Ahmad, you want to talk a minute? Was she was in Men in Black?
She was in Men in Black. She was in Men in Black, either the first or second one. She was, obviously Will Smith's girl.
She just got done doing a TV series with Sam Etchmel. He's the same guy that did Mr. Robot, which if you haven't seen, it's phenomenal. But he did another series, and she just got done doing some of that.
But
she's a great actor, phenomenal actor.
Absolutely. A lot of people know her right now just from the Daredevil, Luke Cage series, even Iron Fist and the Defenders. So she's been in those Marvel series on Netflix. So incredible actress, very talented, very beautiful.
Yeah. So, and we also talked about that the Rise of Skywalker. We also and that whole leaked script. So, and Ahmad, you sent us a link to watch a pretty cool YouTube link about the leaked script. You want to talk a little bit about that? Tell us about that. We can all kind of talk if we ever watch it.
Well, I know once so Robert Meyer Burnett, he's a very, very acclaimed film critic. He used to be a playwright, I believe. He's very well respected within the industry, and so he got a hold of Colin Trevorrow's script. And so once it was leaked, of course, everybody lost it because there was so much controversy in The Rise of Skywalker to where people just wanted to know more. And so the fact that we actually got this script and to be able to see all the view from Colin Trevorrow's point of view, a lot of people thought that's just based upon the script that this would have probably been a more interesting story. And it would have connected a little bit better to The Last Jedi, of course, with some of the things like one of the things that was said in the script was that Luke haunted Kylo. So that was something huge just off of that, just what Luke said at the end of the Last Jedi. And also Luke was there to train Rey. So it was a bunch of different things going on. They introduced Palpatine was in the script, but there was a cartoon that came out, and a fan made a fictional kind of comical and serious interpretation of the script. And Mr. Sunday Movies, I think he narrated it, and it was pretty dope. It was really fun, and just, you know, probably the only interpretation that we're going to get off of that script. They'll never make that script, but it was just cool to see, to kind of have a visual to it outside of those still images that were available.
It was the movie that we all wanted, honestly. There were so many scenes in that. Hopefully I'm not breaking up too bad, but there were so many scenes in that I wish I would have saw. The Chewie in the X-Wing. I wanted Chewie in the X-Wing. We had the Vader versus Kylo Ren scene that we should have had. We had a fight on Coruscant. And then I think one of the biggest things that I really wanted to happen was the fight between Kylo and Rey whenever he blinded her with the lightsaber. And then the whole learning how to do the transfer of the force, the life force that he learned when he first got on that planet. But the one thing that I think that I took away from that was Rey Solana. Like, she was just a nobody who's just force sensitive. I think that's what should have happened.
So you watched it already, Justin, right?
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of the animated one? I'm not talking about so much the full script itself, but the animated that we saw.
Probably my favorite part was whenever they were on the planet, and Kylo was being taught how to use that Force steel, and then went into the cave, fought Vader, came back out, and then just stole the life force from, I can't remember who it was. Torvaldin, yeah. And I was like, why did we have that scene? That would have been such a good scene. Just him and Vader fighting each other, and then Kylo getting whooped. We know who the greatest Sith is. It's Vader.
What about you, Shane? Did you watch it?
I haven't got to see the cartoon yet, but I've read the script, and I've seen, you know, some of the concept art and stuff. And to me, it's just the movie we should have had. If 8 had gotten a different reaction, it's the movie we would have gotten, and I think it would have been a much better ending to the new trilogy. I mean, I love JJ. I'm taking no shots at the man, but that was a better movie. That was a movie that was unique, not something we've seen before, nothing recycled. They actually explain things. It's the movie we should have gotten, and it's disappointing because, you know, we lost out on Solo, and then we lost out on this because of Disney's overreactions, and they got to quit overreacting, because we should have had that movie, because it would have been amazing.
Yeah, my favorite line from that was at the end when Kylo was dying, you know, in this adaptation of it, and she was like, and he goes, "Your last name is Solana," and she goes, "Isn't it Palpatine?" He goes, "No, isn't that a little fan servicey?"
So here's the thing, even though it you know, they could only do a small portion of it, I think one of the biggest parts that I really enjoyed was them actually starting out the movie on the Imperial Cruiser, or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was, because to me that explains how the Resistance could have gotten a lot of technology when they were basically down in the dumps. Like, no shots at the Rise of Skywalker, but it's just funny to me that we had a moment where Leia reached out and nobody responded. We had the Resistance book that came out. They went out looking for people and they got a few people, but then Lando comes back and within 15 minutes he pulls in a whole squad. So it's just like, so Lando just had everybody's cell phone number and just dialed them up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? He just went on Instagram Live and just said, "Yo, where y'all at? Pull up." But all I'm saying is that I thought that the Colin Trevorrow script was well thought out, and he really seemed to have studied The Last Jedi and then made his interpretations based off that.
Yeah, because she actually read the Jedi text in this one, and found out that there was that secret, transmitter underneath the Jedi temple. I mean, it makes all the sense of why everybody came together. It's just simple things like that.
Well, they explained it real well because they're saying like the last order was able to mess up all communication, so that communication system was an old, like you said, an old ancient technology that wasn't affected. And so I just thought that, and they were able to use the people who were down and out and people that were in the bottom and use them to help come and be a part of the resistance. I just thought a lot of the decisions made with that movie made sense.
Yep. I hope that somebody takes the full script and just does an animated fan-made video, just a full length. I'll watch that in theaters.
It needs to be anime.
Yeah.
It needs to be made in like an anime style.
Yeah.
What about you, Joey? Did you get to watch it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about the.
I'm specifically talking about the animated part. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, the cartoon of Colin Trevorrow's script that was not made. It was really good. I'll tell you what I liked the best. I was talking to Ahmad a little bit about this. Actually, what I liked the best was right after it was over, they just played all the clip art that was the actual art that they wrote or that they drew for the concepts, and they were playing music. And it's gonna sound stupid. I almost started crying. I was like, that's what we could have got. It was like, it had this like darker feel to it. And I'm just looking at these pictures going, this is what we could have had. This is so sad.
That whole lit up part where you see just like Luke's face just really bright and he's holding on to Kylo's lightsaber. That was
There's
ridiculous.
Just so many more things in that I think to get excited. It's just the difference between Colin Trevorrow's and JJ's is it just feels like JJ's, again, regardless of what really happened, which we don't know, none of us really know. We can speculate, but it feels like JJ's was rushed. Everything about it feels like it was rushed. Colin Trevorrow's feels like he sat down and he wrote this thing. He had plenty of time, and he wrote the script he wanted. Is what it felt like.
Well,
whether
to JJ's,
what he really wanted to do, that's a whole nother subject.
To JJ's credit, he was rushed. He was given the same timeline that Colin Trevorrow. No, he did. They did push it back. But at the same token, I still, of course, we will never know what the true thing is. But I definitely know that
we never thought we would see the script from Colin Trevorrow either.
We didn't.
Somebody got in trouble for that.
Robert Burnett, check out his podcast.
No doubt.
It's really good. If you like sci-fi stuff, his podcast is amazing. Oh, real fast, sorry, in the chat, somebody asked who BB-8 or R2 would win in a fight. It would definitely be R2. Just
R2. Not even close.
Not even close. R2.
I believe so.
Is anybody in the chat? What does anybody in the chat think if they've seen it? Go ahead and comment.
I think that, for sure. The biggest thing is everybody's saying that they love us, by the way. Tanner and Tyler. Yeah, all these guys are saying that. And by the way, Tanner, I got your cup that you gave me at Christmas. That's what I'm drinking out of right now. And it's pretty freaking awesome. I love this thing.
Tanner, I need a cup.
This is the way.
I'm just going to say he did give me one too. So me and Jared are 100% matching tonight.
It's the guys on the outsides. That's who the special ones are right now.
Y'all are fully promoted.
Every single week, I'm going to have a new Star Wars cup, so it's going to have it.
Kiss the ring.
Well, Kevin Curley starting a fight. He said R2 is the strongest droid ever.
That's not true.
He must not have watched Mandalorian
or Rogue One
or the Attack.
Here's the question: are we being serious? Because if we're being serious, no, R2 is not. But if we're just playing around, yeah, sure, R2 is the strongest.
Although I'm a little jealous that we saw that one R2 unit with the legs in Mandalorian that was doing the boat.
Yeah. Strong.
That was pretty cool. Okay, so let's go on with this. So what is better? And we've had a fight about this, and two people have had a fight about this in our other conversations. What's better, Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels?
Oh, here we go. I'm ready for Joey's answer.
I know the two that are going to fight about it, so I'm going to go ahead and go with Shane. Shane, tell me what is your favorite first?
I don't think there's much of a question in this, but it's clearly Clone Wars. Better plot, better story, better characters, ties you back into to the new trilogy. It all in all, it's a better series to me. Love me some Rebels, but I love the characters of Clone Wars more. Maybe because I tie in more with the episodes 1 through 3. That's kind of what I grew up with. But I love everything about it. I love the depth. I love the art. And I think the writing is some of the best we have in Star Wars. I like Rebels, but I don't think it compares to Clone Wars. So, Joey.
Is it my turn?
Your turn.
Yeah, just go for it.
Let's just be honest. When this question was put on there, it was strictly put at me. Because I am the one who likes Rebels the most. Now, let me just say this. They're two different types of stories, right?
Very different things.
They're two different things, and I would say what you're looking for is depending on which one you might like more. I think everybody will like both of them.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something that's more of a world building universe, Clone Wars does really good at building the world way better. You see more aliens, you see more into everything, to the governments, to the way the war was done. It's a better world building thing.
True.
Rebels is better. It's a story of a group becoming a family, right? It's focused on those people. I wrote down just real quick here, like things that both of them do good at. And so like Clone Wars, they do action really well. Better than Rebels. Clone Wars is better at action. And to the point of like people actually die from lightsabers and blasters. Like, I mean, it gets pretty, for a cartoon, it's pretty gruesome for a Disney cartoon. I mean, it's not, I guess it wasn't Disney when it came out, but, and then also it's also the villains are way more complex in Rebels, or I'm sorry, in Clone Wars. And what I mean by that, in Clone Wars, you got Darth Maul. They actually build on that because if you remember in episode 1, it was kind of like it was one of the most, honestly. Don't get me wrong. I think the fight scene's the best, but if you just take episode 1 for what it is, there's not much to Darth Maul. He's just like, who's this guy? Oh, he fights him. Oh, and then he's dead. And there's not much to him. And so they really expanded on that in Clone Wars, right? So I think they really took it to another level with Darth Maul. Also Ventress, right? They really build in all these different things going on. It's more complex. Rebels, what's awesome about Rebels is you don't know the fate of the characters, right? Because on Clone Wars, we know what's going to happen. It's part of doing a prequel, and you do. So it's kind of fun to watch because you don't know what's going to happen. Also, there's a sense of adventure. It's a different type of thing. And then also, and when we were talking about the complexity, when you look at Rebels, you have the what are they? I can't remember their name. The Sith acolytes. The Grand Inquisitors.
Yeah,
yeah. There's not much to them. They're just like, they're evil. They're bad. Here they come. And
you mean like the Knights of Ren?
But what Rebels does really good, like all I got to say is Darth Vader, right?
Yes,
you throw Darth Vader in, and it immediately gets way better. Now, let me back up a little bit here, because I think here's the big problem that I think Rebels had. Season 1 is pretty slow. And I think a lot of people that were huge Clone Wars fans, all of a sudden, Disney gets a hold of this and they kind of Disney-fy it. They make it more for kids. Because I'd say Clone Wars, it's like I said, it's a little darker, a little more action. And then they take Rebels and it's a little more for kid-friendly. And I think there's a lot of people, I'm not putting you guys in this, but I think there's a lot of people that give hate on Rebels because of the fact they watched a little bit and then they didn't want to give it any more of a turn. Because, you see the Inquisitors with their spinny lightsabers. I mean, come on. Like in the beginning, you're like, that's kind of retarded, But all that to say is, for me, the story of Rebels, it focuses in on a group of people and it stays with them, where the Clone Wars kind of jumps around a lot. You get a lot of different stuff. I think we have a lot of plots in Clone Wars, and I don't really feel like we finished. I don't think they're going to finish all the plots that they've really opened up in Clone Wars. Rebels is a good beginning and ending story. Yeah, there's a cliffhanger at the end, but so again, I like Rebels more, and it's because I enjoy the adventure and I enjoy a group of people becoming a family is why I like it more.
Later seasons of the Rebels has some of the coolest scenes. The Ahsoka Vader fight, I mean, come on, that stuff was gorgeous. But like you said, I don't know. Clone Wars has some amazing stuff in it, and if you watch it in the order that they show, I mean, it's Star Wars. I mean, give me Star Wars,
and you need it. Like I said, the world building is so important in these things, like Star Wars or The Matrix or Aliens, or there are things you build this world and you get invested in this world. And this is what our gripe is with the movies sometimes. Is like we all invest in these worlds and learn so much. So just so everybody understands, Shane, Ahmad, they read a lot of the books. I'm really into the role-playing game stuff. So I read all their role-playing books, and it's just what I like about it is learning, the stats of this vessel and how powerful it is. It's just, I don't know. It's just the world building is really interesting to me. Yeah. And I think to have a good story, you have to build a world and not just say and that was the problem with 9. It's just like, oh, this happened. Why did this happen? How did this happen? We don't know. Here's a book to explain everything because we didn't want to tell you.
Justin, before you comment, I just wanted to say, Filoni he's super big into George Lucas. They work together. And so that whole conversation of him telling him to bring Maul back just bring him back, but he's dead, George. It doesn't matter. Just bring him back. I just want to see him back. Just bring him back, please.
You brought up Dave Filoni. Did you see that he changed his background on Twitter?
Yes, he did, and that was something I gave Jared for one of the show notes.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
No.
Yeah.
So real quick, since you mentioned Maul, like, is that the most wasted character in Star Wars? Why was Maul not the bad guy through 1 through 3?
Again, I think I honestly believe that the point of episode 1, 2, and 3 was to get Anakin to Vader. I don't think that necessarily a villain was really the thing. I just think that because if you really want to look at it, the actual antagonist and protagonist of the 1, 2, and 3 is the Jedi. They're the enemy because if the Jedi is the one that pushed him to be Vader. So but Justin, what do you think about Rebels and Clone Wars, bro?
Man, I'll tell you what. So as a guy growing up, I only had the movies. I didn't have books. I didn't have the comics or anything. So it wasn't until really the last year, well, probably the start of 7, 8, and 9, that I really got into the lore of all of it and to the worlds. And so what Clone Wars answers a lot of questions that I had about Star Wars in general, and Rebels is a fun watch. Like, I know the world, I know how it's built, I enjoy it, I know the clans I like, I'm huge with Mandalorian, and I really like that story arc of everything that has to do with Mandalore. And so Clone Wars satisfies that with me, and then also Rebels is just a fun, like, I can just watch this and it's Star Wars and I enjoy it. And so for me, that's kind of like, I don't really have a favorite. It just depends on the mood. If I'm in a mood where I want to watch a lot more of a story arc, then I'll do Clone Wars. If I just want a fun watch and get River involved, my almost 3-year-old son, then he really likes the visual effects of watching Rebels. And so he'll sit and watch a whole thing with me. So that's kind of for me, as coming into the whole everything that's Star Wars and what it's about. That's kind of how I look at that stuff.
So for me, I like Rebels. I do, but if I had to choose, it definitely would be Clone Wars, and it's simply for a lot of the reasons that Joey already gave. There is a lot of lore that we take even now from the Clone Wars. We were introduced to a lot of new bounty hunters, Jabba the Hutt's brothers. We got to understand, like, we got to see a lot more Sith and Jedi. seeing who had Apprentice and things of that nature. And then it just built upon some of the movies that we already saw. So to see that they took the time to, and the other thing that I wanted to hit on was like Joey also said, was that it was, I think they were made for different people, because Clone Wars was for us. Like, even, I mean, there was so much death, like people was dying, like people was getting choked out, people was getting shot, people was getting electrocuted, like you said, sabers getting, I mean, it was so much death, but then there's also a lot of story into it as well. But then if you stick around for the later episodes of Rebels, they start to pick up on some of the things that were introduced in the Clone Wars. Like the Mortis plot was in some of the last episodes of Rebels, and if you don't know what that is, I mean, that's just a part of it right there. So they're definitely, and just like Resistance, the other series, I watched probably the first season, haven't really picked up the second season, and I'm gonna watch it because I'm a Star Wars fan, but Resistance is just not for me. It's very, very kiddish to me.
It's getting better. It's getting better, but that's a lot of things, though.
Yeah. We have Austin in the comments said, "Is Millennium Falcon really the fastest ship?" Dude, do we have to remind you that the Millennium Falcon did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs?
According to Han Solo, it is.
And he wasn't referring to. He was not referring to the distance. He was referring to speed. So yeah, it's fast. Okay.
I thought he was also talking about the whole. He's a freighter, though. It's not like he's not faster than an X-wing or a TIE fighter, though.
Right.
From the stats.
I'm probably wrong. I just had to get the 12 parsecs in there. I wasn't going to let him get away with it.
From the stats, it has one of the, there is the way that they say the hyperdrives and how fast they are. It technically is equipped with one of the fastest hyperdrives. I mean, but there's a lot of ships that are, but it's, but like I said, according to Han Solo, it's the fastest in the galaxy. I think he's got very good. I would listen to Han Solo
whenever that hyperdrive is working.
Yeah.
Get us out of here, Chewie.
We got another one here from Kevin Curley. He's asking, if all the Sith Lords were to fight in a battle royale, who would win?
Oh, I know what Shane's going to say.
Shane, tell us. You're right.
Yeah, go for it, Shane.
Okay, in my opinion, it's Revan. It's Revan, hands down. He's the strongest Jedi and or Sith, just in my opinion. But if you want to go deep lore, now this is probably more in the Legends realm, but the Sith were a race originally. And so the Emperor of the original Sith literally sacrificed an entire planet. And when he sacrificed it, he actually took away the Force. So the planet was completely dead. It was Force neutral, and he absorbed all that power. And he actually corrupted Revan's mind when he was the Jedi Master, or the Jedi leader. He led the Jedi army against the Mandalorians. So technically, if we're going to get really technical, and we're not worried about what's legend and what's canon, then it would be the Emperor of the Sith. But if we're just talking like cool characters and stuff, it's Revan. He's the most balanced, in my opinion.
And Revan is legend now.
And Revan is canon.
Canon.
So,
sorry.
He's canon.
Yeah. Canon.
For me, I would have to go Palps. I think old Sheev can do people in.
But which one? The clone or the original?
Let's go with the original. I mean, I'm just saying,
powerful. He never dies.
He never dies. But then on top of that, if you look at, he fought both. He fought
Mace Windu and Yoda.
I mean, talking about that. What's my boy Maul? We were just talking about Maul. He fought Maul and his brother, and I mean, he killed Maul's brother. And spoiler alert, he killed Maul's brother. And
I think we're way past spoiler on that.
Can't say it after
now.
Yeah.
That out on your own.
I'm just saying. And then he took out, like, when Anakin, not Anakin, but when like you said, when all of the other Jedi came to approach him after Anakin told that he was the Sith Lord. He killed all them Jedi until he fought Windu. I mean, obviously Windu is very strong, and then of course Yoda. But yeah, I'm going with Palps.
Yeah, that Mace Windu fight was he got a crappy end of the deal there.
Yeah,
let's just say it's General Grievous. That's the strongest.
Yeah.
Why is it? Tell me why General Grievous in Clone Wars.
I just want him grabbing stuff the whole time. I'll add it to my collection.
Why do they make him out in Clone Wars sometimes as just like an idiot? He just does stupid things. You're just like, okay.
Except for that one episode when he was haunting those two Jedi when they went to his house. When Dooku basically he set him up because he was like, yo, you keep failing all these missions, you keep losing all of this equipment, you got to prove yourself. So he sent two Jedi to his house, and it was like a horror scene. Like he had got his arms and stuff replaced. He was crawling all on the wall. It was crazy.
Austin asked about Yoda too, if he could beat the Emperor in a lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
Well,
he lost one.
Like I say, we saw it in the movie.
We did. Yeah.
But did he lose, or did he just not have the high ground?
He didn't have the high ground. He bailed. I mean, and Shane can talk more about this too. But I mean, in the books and stuff, I mean, Yoda is like he takes on even Mace Windu, who Mace Windu is considered. Well, and Dooku's considered the greatest, lightsaber duelist. But I mean, Yoda was really good. I mean, phenomenal.
So, well, I mean, it was too. You got to look at Pops was fighting Yoda at 900. So, or 800. So,
100.
That's very true.
Come on. Why don't you see him when he 150? Come on, bro.
Yeah. If we see Yoda in his prime, I strongly feel like Yoda wins.
Do you think we get Yoda in his prime at with Knights? Is it Knights of the Old Republic? Yeah,
the High Republic.
High Republic.
They need to fire the whole writing team.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Grievous, every time somebody brings up Grievous, all I think about is when Kylo throws the lightsaber, and then you see Grievous like crawl out, and he just jumps into the ocean trying to grab it.
My favorite meme of everything lately is that.
Yes.
Yeah, that one got me.
I don't know.
Okay, guys.
I mean, we're talking about lightsaber duelists and stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, Obi-Wan has more experience killing anybody. I mean, he fought everybody. What, like literally before episode 1, apparently there was no Sith for how long? And then all of a sudden, Obi-Wan's at the front line taking everybody.
This is the stats guy again with the RPG. That's what you're doing though.
But coming from the book side, Obi-Wan was trained obviously by Qui-Gon, but he was trained to where he would only teach him the basic moves, and Obi-Wan was upset, like, bro, why do you keep teaching me just these basic moves, and all the other apprentices are like well advanced and they're doing all this special stuff? And he was like, listen, what I want you to understand is that when you're in the heat of battle and there's a lot going on, and there hasn't been any Sith for over 1,000 years back when they were doing it. He was like, if you're doing all of that, I need you to rely on what's ingrained in you, and what would be ingrained is the basics. So he definitely can fight, and obviously he killed Maul. Spoiler alert! And
you can't.
Why you gotta be spoiling everything?
You can't say it and then say spoiler alert. Does not work like that.
He killed Maul twice, just for the record.
Listen. If y'all are watching this podcast, I'm assuming that y'all have seen the stuff. If not, then y'all tell me in the comments, and I won't spoil any more stuff.
Hey, spoiler alert!
Still a good watch.
Darth Vader is Luke's father. Spoiler alert! Sorry.
Oh, crap.
So
that's it. I'm done. I'm turning it off.
Kevin Curley's question, though, I would have to say it depends if we're talking legend or if we're talking canon.
Say canon.
100%.
Say canon.
If it's legends, who is it, Shane? Come on.
It's Revan.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking more of like, I was gonna say it's Luke Skywalker. The way Luke's painted out, he's just phenomenal.
If it's legends,
Luke we got in these last trilogy is not the same Luke Skywalker.
No, that's like 10% the Luke we get in the books.
I would say Yoda is in Legends or in canon. Sorry.
But we also don't know like to what power Luke got in canon, because we don't know what happened in between 6 and 7. So we don't know how strong Luke got before he decided to go to his island and forget the Force.
He was so powerful. He didn't even care. He just threw the lightsaber away.
I mean, literally, he didn't need lightsabers anymore. So
you don't need anything in Star Wars anymore. You just throw it away. You don't need it anymore. Just take things, just all these lightsabers, and just throw it away.
Guys, someone's going to throw away Baby Yoda. It's going to happen.
Okay, let's move on. Austin, we'll get to your question here in just a second, bud. The new Clone Wars episode, since we've been talking about Clone Wars. So the start of the final season is where we're at for anybody that doesn't know. And if you haven't watched, I mean, you're probably like, are we 5 episodes in now? Probably 7. So, wow. So hopefully you're watching those. And if you're not, they're pretty good. I mean, there's some pretty. I think the last 2 have been the worst for me. I wanted to see a lot of Ahsoka, but I didn't like. I thought it was pretty low on my.
I wanted to see some story building Ahsoka, not just some filler Ahsoka.
I like the looks from 2 of the. I walked away from the Ahsoka episodes going. I kind of expected a little more. It seemed kind of like slow, super slow for me. But let's talk about.
I'll go first, and it's hard to say because we haven't seen the end. We don't know. Like it's building. It's building something. I mean, that's literally it. It's building something. We don't know what it is. It's hard to really say yet. Yeah, there hasn't been much to add to Ahsoka's character so far, but I'm just looking at it as an episode. What do I think about the episode? You know what I mean? Instead of just the characters and what they're going through right now. And so far, I mean, they're kind of filler episodes. I mean, they're kind of this last episode actually had something to hold on to. That's going to be something bigger. So,
well, I think real quick. I'm sorry. But if you go with the first episodes of this season, and you had all the like the Bad Batch, and seeing Rex and all those guys again, that to me was way better, honestly. I felt like that was like really cool. The progression of it was like, okay, this makes sense. It even made me think, oh wow, this guy that was in The Mandalorian, maybe he was a part of a Bad Batch that was more like the scientist style. But when you get to the Ahsoka episodes, it felt a little like we were so high that when we went down, it was down too far. But
so does somebody else want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I disagree. Again, I know it's personal preference and opinion, but I disagree because I feel like I know a lot of people will probably agree with you, but I feel like the Ahsoka episodes are essential because when we left Ahsoka, she left the Jedi Order. And she was completely down on the Jedi because of the fact that there was a crime that was committed and she was blamed for it. And the only person that believed her was Anakin. So you get to this episode to where you are in a different place and she's learning what other people feel about the Jedi from their perspective. And what I think was interesting is because of the fact that in her mind, she's now feeling like, well, that's not what the Jedi are about. So I think these episodes are the story building beats to help Ahsoka's character make it back to work with him again. It's to make her realize why she was a Jedi to begin with, what the Jedi are really about, and understanding that the perception out there, because we have to understand here that with the Empire is if we looked at it, if this was today's world with the Empire, right? The Empire would be like the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, like our whole military, right? And then you have the Jedi who would be like, you know, the Special Forces or the Navy SEALs or the, you know, those type of people, and they quote unquote went rogue. So most people that live in the system, they look at the government as the leaders of the world. And so what I'm saying is to have somebody who was a special unit person to then leave that organization and then find out how other people are feeling about it. I think it's vital that we get this groundwork because of what's coming next. I definitely agree with what Joey is saying.
Well, it's funny you say that. I didn't feel like I said it real well, and I was going to say I agree with what you're saying. It sounded like I might have been hating on it. I do think the beginning of the series was more fun to watch, right? It was more fun. But these are episodes that we do need so that we understand why Ahsoka does what she does. It's like any book you read. There's a chapter, it's like, why do I need to know this? It's so much more rewarding. And this goes back to my Mando statement. It's more rewarding to understand why he didn't want to take off his helmet when you understand more of his backstory, which we're going to get. Okay.
Where'd he go?
Joe got a 5-minute timeout.
He just turned off. He's gone.
Just saying.
Okay, so
yes, I agree with Ahmad.
I agree with Ahmad too. I think it's important because I've read the Ahsoka book. I'm going back to the books. I've read the Ahsoka book, and the Ahsoka book is a really good read, and it leads more into where you see Ahsoka in the Rebels series. And there's kind of a disconnect from where she ends in Clone Wars before the new episodes to where she's at in Rebels. And I think this sets up exactly like this leads into the Ahsoka book, and it shows why she did what she did. And I wasn't a huge fan of the first Ahsoka episode, but since the last 2 episodes, it's made me like it more. And they're building on it, and I think they're building to something important. But it's like they said, it's showing us why Ahsoka ends up where she does in Rebels. So I think it's going to wind up being extremely important. And so it's grown on me more as I've watched more episodes. They haven't been like the most action-packed, but I think they're some of the most important because Ahsoka's still going to be a huge character in the future, especially if they introduce her in The Mandalorian. So I think we have to get backstory now because with the new thing, they're trying to make sure everything ties in, which I think is vitally important after watching the movie, but we don't need to go there. So I think it's extremely important that we see what drove her to leave Coruscant and then the changes or the steps that she took to become what she did when we see her later. So I'm liking where they're building it to.
Just one thing before Justin comments, just something that you said, a lot of people, they don't read the books like that. So here it is, there's an incredible story, but because most people aren't going to read that book, you need it on screen somewhere before, especially with everything that's been talked about as far as a Ahsoka series, a live action spinoff, maybe a cartoon series, who knows? But you needed that on screen time for people to understand her getting back into being a Jedi.
Okay.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so here you can answer this question then. This is from Austin. Was Obi-Wan really a Jedi? He always seemed like a double agent or like he wasn't really in it with the Force, but instead for himself.
I disagree. I feel like Obi-Wan was like he was the textbook Jedi. Everything was to a T. Like he was the guy you wanted. If you were going to start a religion, like a Jedi religion, you want all of Obi-Wan. You want him in every person. Like this is going to be really weird. He was the Jesus of the Jedi.
That was good. You get 2 points for that one.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Totally.
But just to piggyback off of Justin, though, he's absolutely right. Now, the person who trained him, on the other hand, it's Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, and again, for those who didn't read the book, you learn a lot more about him, but you can see it in episode 1. You know, Qui-Gon was a very much a great Jedi, but without Qui-Gon, we wouldn't have the Force Ghost, and so it's that whole thing. But like you're saying, the only flaw that Obi-Wan had is Obi-Wan had a relationship.
Well, don't talk about it though.
I'm not. You got to watch Clone Wars and know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so we know he had that, and I know that you had a thing. Well, let's answer Austin's. Oh, we already answered that, didn't we? He said, and that's why it felt like a cover. He said it was too perfect for me. That's why he thought he was a double agent. It was Saul. But anyway,
he was too pure, man.
No, Obi-Wan was what the Jedi always strived to be, even when he was young, and that's why he clashed so much with Qui-Gon as he was being trained. Like he was the textbook Jedi, If they said don't do this, he didn't do it. If they said meditate for 20 minutes, he meditated for 20 minutes. I mean, that he was the textbook Jedi. And I think it's really interesting, because his first big step was when the first time he disobeyed was when he told Yoda, "I will train the boy," when he took Anakin. And that was controversial because that was not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was a by the book guy. And so when he promised Qui-Gon that he was going to train Anakin, like that was his first big, break, I guess you could say, where he disobeyed. And they ended up letting him, training him, and we see where that leads. But I mean, we see a little bit, we see hints of him breaking the rules or bending the rules for Anakin. But he was what the Jedi were meant to be. I mean, when he went to Tatooine, he lived out there, and he did what the Jedi trained him to do. He meditated and he learned. And at the end, when he fights Vader, I mean, we see no other Jedi that I can recall. I could be wrong. We see no other Jedi, turn their lightsaber off and just like, I'm going to the Force now. Like, I don't need to fight you. I've already won. Like he was what the Jedi were always meant to be.
Well, that's true. I even think so. He was even further along in his Jedi training in thinking that I think that underlying Obi-Wan knew that Anakin was more towards the darker side of the Force or could easily be swayed. And I think that he was like, maybe I can make that not happen. Maybe I can train him, not allow that to happen. And then, we saw what happened. But even then he goes and, it kind of exiles himself as he watches Luke be raised by his aunt and uncle. And I think that that's just one of those things that he felt so bad about, maybe not following the code all the way. This is just totally speculation and totally my opinion, but I feel like he was like so hurt by what he did to the Jedi Order that's kind of why he took that upon himself as well.
Well, I mean, that is what Yoda told him to do. I mean, the reason he was on Tatooine was because of Yoda. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. And I think they all had to have known. They all had, I mean, they felt that when he killed all the sand people, I mean, they felt the disturbance in the Force. They always knew it was under there. And let's be honest. I mean, if he just listens to Mace and doesn't go, I mean, Mace kills Palpatine and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But it was Mace's fault anyway, because I mean, the whole thing, Mace was openly said he didn't trust him.
Yeah.
So the fact that, the thing is that, he even said, like, look, if what you're telling me is true, then you have gained my trust. So, that's why I said the Jedi were the antagonists and the protagonists of episode 1, 2, and 3. So it was their fault that they created. I mean, Yoda even said it in the new series. Yoda said it. That's why he was like, nah, burn up the books. Like, you wasn't finna read them books. No way.
Yeah.
We got to be careful about saying what Obi-Wan is, because we have a series that's going to be coming out. And Disney is really good at turning these people into something we didn't think they were.
That's
so let's be careful. He might be a double agent. Austin might be right.
Austin may be a writer. I mean, they're hiring everybody now. It doesn't matter. You don't.
Hey, Obi-Wan's a double agent and Jar Jar's the Sith Lord.
That's it.
If that happens, Apple needs to buy Disney. Okay. All right. Sell Disney to someone that is not a complete idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, we had in some of the new episodes from Clone Wars, Obi-Wan, did he know that Anakin and Padme, totally I mean, he had to have known just as much as he did when he knew about himself. And spoiler, I'm not going to say who it is, but
if he didn't know, then I can't respect him for what he is. I mean, he knew. There's no way he didn't know.
Listen, there is in season 2 of Clone Wars, they have the homeboy talk. So they both know what's popping. They know.
Let's not.
But they don't know that he's married to her, though. They don't know that.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I honestly believe that he knew. I think that a lot of times Obi-Wan might have covered for Anakin, because a lot of times they're like, where's your apprentice? And he was like, oh, he's not answering, or whatever the case may be. Because I mean, you think about it, right? When we get to Revenge of the Sith in episode 3, when Obi-Wan comes up to Padme, he just is like, it's Anakin's, right? Like looking at her like, come on, bro. You already know. Like, come on. Y'all ain't fooling nobody.
You see it in episode 2 when he hasn't seen her in how many ever years, and the second he sees her, I mean, he's got puppy dog eyes. I mean, Obi-Wan is not stupid, okay?
It's worse than that, bro. In episode 2 at the end.
I have a theory that they all were sleeping around if they just didn't say anything, because it's just kind of the Jedi code to not say anything. But they all did.
Yes, there are several times throughout the books where they mention, like, you don't have a bunch of guys, running around the galaxy and that are all celibate. No,
we're about to find out.
How do you think we got all these Force-sensitive babies?
I mean, it's going to happen. And I think they knew it was going to happen. They just try and avoid attachments for these types of reasons, because it led to the downfall of the Order. But I think it's always happened throughout the entire history of the Order.
It only did because that's the way George Lucas wrote it.
Well, I mean, Shane kind of touched upon it, but that was one of the excuses one of the Jedi used. He was like, look, man, I'm not supposed to fall in love. He didn't say I couldn't have a companion. Yeah.
Have a companion.
He didn't say I couldn't balance the Force. He just said that I was
all you gotta do is not get attached, guys, and then you're not breaking the code. Okay.
Yeah.
They just don't
get attached.
They don't want strong feelings. Just gonna throw
I'm telling you, they were all sleeping around. That's why we have Baby Yoda now. Yoda did it.
I hope Yoda did it with somebody. Like,
well, Baby Yoda is a little lighter skinned than I thought. It ain't a darker shade of green.
I find out that Yoda slept with Yaddle. I mean, they need to write him out. Okay. Because Yaddle's the worst thing I've ever seen in Star Wars.
We just officially got an E rating on our podcast.
Yeah, we did.
If you don't know who Yaddle is, Google it. It's the worst thing you've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, the picture does not do her any favors for sure.
Yoda did not sleep with anyone of his species if that was what they looked like. Okay.
Austin said that he's going to put Balance of Force on a hat. If you do, you got to give full credit to a mod.
That's always been a mod thing.
That's always been a mod.
So, Shane, you just mentioned Apple and Disney. I think we should talk about that because that was something that came up last week, actually, that Apple has enough money that if they wanted to buy out Disney right now because of all what's going on and their stocks are plummeting, they could actually buy Disney out.
You said
so. What do you guys?
Plummeting, right?
Yeah. So Disney stock is plummeting, but the way it works is the shareholders have to agree on a price, and the price that they assume that the shareholders would set is 50% above the premium. So you're looking at about $140 a share, which winds up being $400 billion. Apple only has $254 billion in cash in their reserves. I say only. I mean, come on, guys. $254 billion. But they only have $254 billion in cash reserves. So they would have to include stock incentives and take on debt. So it's very unlikely to happen. I don't think it's a good move. I do not think Apple would be good for Disney or Star Wars or Marvel or anything like that. But most people expect the stock to rebound as soon as the beer virus kind of gets going or gets over with. So it'll recover fast. So I don't think it's a legitimate thing. But no, Apple doesn't technically have the money because it will be expensive. But the shareholders don't really seem eager to sell. And I don't think it makes financial sense for them to spend that much money. Apple or Disney makes a lot of money, but Disney also has a lot of debt and they also have a lot of cost. And I don't think that Apple has any interest in absorbing that.
Well, Apple has to do something though, because, especially with the T-Mobile Sprint merger, they're going to have to think of something. So that would be something huge for them. And it would basically shoot their streaming service, their trajectory would be a whole lot bigger.
The streaming service end of it would be huge, but I mean, what is it? I think right now 55% of Apple's profits come from their iPhone sales. If they bought Disney, that would lower that percentage of their profits down to 45%, I believe. So it's not, I don't know that it's worth the risk for the amount of debt and stuff that they would have to take on to take over Apple. And that's assuming the stock doesn't recover any, because if the stock recovers any, then they're going to have to pay more than $140 a share. And you're already looking at $400 billion.
Yeah, and at the most, they're going to be, to be whatever a member of the board, 51% for them to make decisions, and that's what you said their cash reserves are at. What is it, 250 billion or whatever it is? So they're going to use all that just so they can just be a deciding member of the board. I don't see that.
And I don't see the shareholders agreeing to a buyout. Sorry, Joey.
No. Everything you're saying is right. I mean, I don't buy any stock into this. I just think that there's so much more Apple can do with their money than. I mean, look, it's a cool thing. It would be awesome for them to buy Disney like that. I mean, that's the cool thing. But there's so much more. I just think from a money standpoint, it doesn't make sense at all. They do premium hardware. They don't do premium content. So, I don't buy it. I mean, again, I am fine with being wrong, but I really think it's just people talking.
Yeah. If they want entertainment, go get Netflix. Yeah. I mean, you got the money, go buy Netflix. Sorry.
We got 5 minutes, Jared. What do you want to go into?
Well, we got one more that we could probably talk about since we have Austin that's so excited about Obi-Wan being double-sided. We'll just go in with Joby Harold named the new writer for the Obi-Wan series. Now, is it still a series though, or are they pushing it to the movie?
It's still considered a series, and this is going to be the first time writing for him for a television series. He's done Transformers. He's doing the sequel to Bumblebee, and then also he was an executive producer of John Wick. So what do you guys think about him? This is his first television series.
I'm pretty sure he did a TV series. I thought he wrote.
Whenever I looked it up, this is the very first one he's the writer for.
So this goes back to my point from episode 1 for us. I believe that Kathleen Kennedy knows what she's doing. I know immediately because of the fact when you hear there's turmoil with the series that people will think, oh, I've heard a lot of people like, oh, I'm jumping ship. Like, I'm not even excited anymore. Like, Kathleen Kennedy knows what she's doing, regardless of how people agree with some of the decisions she makes or not. And so it's one of those things, like, until we see the product, we won't know the impact of whether he's writing it. Because, like I said, I need to know what was so detrimental from the first writing as to why they wanted to go with a different writer. It obviously had to be something, because what they saw with The Mandalorian, they can go a little more inside baseball than what they thought. And so with the success of that show, why would you want to then water down the product? Like you're reactionary, obviously, because you see that this is working. So why would you try to change it? That's my opinion about it.
He did do TV series. There's a new one coming out now, and then he's also done Underground.
No, but he was an executive producer on Underground. He wasn't a writer on
producer. Okay, you're talking about just writing.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed about it. I mean, the way I look at it is, I mean, he's going to write the scripts or rewrite the scripts, and then they're going to read them. If they don't think it's good, we're going to pick another one. Like they're going to wait and do this right, and that's what I love. Like, don't rush Obi-Wan. I mean, this is a flagship series for your Disney Plus streaming service. You've already invested over $1 billion in Disney Plus. Don't have a miss. Like, take your time, get the writers, and fire it until it hits. Like, that's my thing. Just write it until it's right.
And that's the thing. You don't have to rush because of the fact, like you said, that right now the flagship show is The Mandalorian. So you already have Cassian Andor coming down, and then the other Marvel series that are going to drop. So you don't have to rush it. The only reason why I think there's probably a little bit of heat on this is because of the fact we've been talking about Obi-Wan way back before the Solo project was talked about. So this was originally supposed to be a movie, and people really love Ewan McGregor. So it's one of those things like, man, we just need to strike while the iron is hot. We need something positive for Star Wars.
I don't know if I really necessarily have an opinion one way or the other. It is interesting to me that when we first started hearing about Obi-Wan, they were talking about getting more of a deep side of Obi-Wan, like more of a story based. And by this guy that they're picking, I'm just looking at what he's done. And it's just like, he looks like he's really good at action. And so, I mean, I'm executive producer of, what is that? Which I love, Edge of Tomorrow.
Love
that one. But you got John Wick, you got Robin Hood, you got King Arthur. He's involved with these things that had a lot of action and stuff. So again, I don't really know what that means, but again, before at the very beginning, the reports were that we're going to see an Obi-Wan, we're going to have more of a story to him and not so much action. And now I don't know what this means, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Guys, John Wick with the lightsaber. Is that a bad thing?
Hey, real quick, did y'all see that Witcher with the lightsabers added?
I've not seen it.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Yes.
I need to watch it.
Y'all gotta look that
up. You guys haven't watched The Witcher, not with lightsabers, but in general. I mean, come on, guys. It's the Witcher.
I haven't played The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother podcast for me.
Yeah.
That would be not so G-rated, I think, if we're talking about The Witcher, though.
True.
Don't play it around your children.
Yes,
for sure.
A lot of horse balancing in that episode.
Lots of lightsabers.
If you use this that edits it before you watch it, you're going to miss about 60% of some episodes. So, good luck.
Given the bird the bees talk, and it might be a good game.
Okay, guys, we are hitting up an hour. I think we should just cut it here. I appreciate you guys, everybody that's watching with us. I mean, I hope you're liking this. We are definitely having fun, just hanging out, talking with you, talking with each other, and just be safe. We love you guys, and don't miss the next one. We're definitely going to keep doing this every week.
Talk more about Ahsoka.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we'll talk about Ahsoka every time.
That's right. As long as
all right. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Later, guys.
This is the way.